Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. Last week I did a video and I edited the video and I uploaded the video, and then I decided that it was junk. The sound was bad, the content was stupid, and so I just pulled it offline. That's why there was no video last week. Basically, I've returned to the world of doing gigs, and that means a lot of practicing and a lot of working out my own equipment, working the system out, figure out what works and what doesn't. So today I thought I would just kind of talk you through my guitar choices, and they're probably not going to be too surprising. Okay, so what am I covering? Well, music of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I'm doing some country, I'm doing some pop, I'm doing some rock, everything from CCR, Billy Joel, Elton John, to Alan Parsons, some Garth Brooks, some Lyle Lovett, some Steve Earle, Aerosmith, some of my own songs, Fleetwood Mac. It's all over the map. Beatles. So when you're covering that wide of a repertoire, how do you do that? Well, one thing I do is I've got backing tracks on my computer. That's mostly just drums and bass, right? And then mixing board. I've got my set list and lyrics if I need them on the iPad here. And then the keyboard, which can do every keyboard sound imaginable. Between this and main stage on the laptop, I've got every possible keyboard sound covered. So that leaves guitars. So how do you go from country to pop rock to rock to, 50s through the 80s, all kinds of different guitar sounds? Well, in terms of the amp, it's easy. I use an HX Stomp. And if you've watched the channel for a while, you know that part. So Ableton Live on my computer, not currently it's recording my voice, but Ableton Live, which sends patch changes to the HX Stomp, to my keyboard, to main stage, also to my lights if I'm using them. It's all automated. I don't have to tap dance and all that great stuff. That leaves guitar choice. So for any of the country stuff and for a little bit of the early rock stuff, I reach for Fender Telecaster. So this is my made in Mexico Fender Telecaster. It's got Texas special pickups, so they're pretty hot. And this does a really, really good job on the Steve Earle stuff, especially where, I want a Telecaster sound. So I've got an acoustic guitar patch that works pretty good in the HX Stomp, so I can cover acoustic and I can cover Tele sounds. So, and then I would also consider this sort of a backup guitar, because of my three guitars, this one is probably the most versatile of the three that I'm taking out with me to gigs. Telecaster. If I can only pick one guitar, I might pick this one. But I don't have to pick one guitar. I picked three. So this is the first one. Okay. So then my next choice has to be something that's got humbuckers in it. That's single coils. I want something with humbuckers. And if you watch the channel a lot, you know I'm a huge fan of the Epiphone Les Paul, which is why I am gigging with PRS SE Custom 24. Now, why not an Epiphone Les Paul? Well, let me tell you why not. Number one, this has a super thin, super fast neck. This is by far my fastest guitar. And so that just makes playing it easier. This is the easiest guitar to play that I own. The action is low, the neck is skinny. It's a 25-inch scale, so the frets are a little closer together than on the Telecaster. And if I need anything with humbuckers, this is the guy. Now, could I use the Epiphone Les Paul? Yes, I could. But this has a contoured body. The Epiphone Les Paul digs into my ribs. For recording, that's fine, but for 4 hours, if you're doing a gig, I want comfort. And so it's the speed, the ease of playability, the contoured body. And then, of course, there's the angle of the headstock, right? If I had $1 for every Epiphone or Gibson Les Paul I've seen with a snapped headstock, I'd be a rich man. I mean, you just see them all the time. And so the Epiphone stays at home. Now, which guitar sounds better with the same pickups? The Epiphone Les Paul, the Gibson Les Paul, or this guy? Maybe the Gibson, but the sound difference is like this, as far as I'm concerned. And playability and comfort. is just this guy. So what would I use this for? Well, like Aerosmith, for example, I'm covering Sweet Emotion. And so I want that hard rock guitar sound. Also for the guitar solos, in some songs I'll be playing keyboards, especially Alan Parsons. I do games people play. So I'm playing the Rhodes part and then I'll play the guitar solo. For any guitar solo, this is the guy I want. So that would be this guy. And this is probably the guitar that I've gigged most with over the past, decade. I just love this thing. If I've got room, I might take my PRS SE 24 as a backup. And you might say, well, why not play that? That's a better guitar. Yeah, but it's got the thicker neck. The thing is, they now make the S2 satin 24 with a thin profile neck. And if I'd had one of those, I'd play that instead of this. But when I got mine, they didn't make that. So I don't know. Maybe one day if I can find one used cheap enough. So I've got the Telecaster that's covering the country and some of the rock sounds, and then I've got this guy for when I want a Les Paul-ish kind of guitar. That leaves one. So I cover some stuff that's like blues, and I cover a couple of Stevie Ray Vaughan songs. I do Tell Me, and I also do The House Is Rockin'. Now, really, if you're doing Stevie Ray, you don't have a choice. You need to have my next guitar. Fender Stratocaster. Now, like a lot of people, my Strat is not an off-the-shelf stock build, right? What I've actually got is I've got a made-in-Mexico body. I've got custom shop Texas special pickups. I've got a American neck, American special neck. I've got Fender locking tuners. I've got a Graph Tech bridge so that I don't break strings ever on this guitar. It's so awesome. Highly recommend Graph Tech. I said bridge, I meant saddles. And then, of course, my mod that I always do, I remove, let's see if I can get this out of the way, the mic stand. I remove one of the tone pots and I just move it down so I've got volume tone. And the reason for that is the darn thing's always in my way. It's like the worst design ever unless you're going to hook your finger around it. I mean, really, I'd like to move this switch too because it's super easy to bump, but that's not so easy to move. So anyway, and mostly I'm in this position here, which is these two pickups. That's pretty much the sound I'm using for most stuff. For some things I do this. There's a Lyle Lovett song that's like a blues song that I do these two, which it just seems to fit. But so for some things, I mean, Stevie Ray, Annie Hendrix, you pretty much have to have a Strat, and nothing sounds like a Strat. Now, my backup for the Strat would probably be the Telecaster. It can kind of come close because it's that Fendery sound. The Strat and the Tele are backups for each other. And probably the Tele is the backup for the PRS. So really, I take out 3 guitars. I used to take out 4. I used to take out my Acoustic, but I've got a Larrivee DO3 and it's really thick. Well, I kind of injured my right shoulder and now it's really hard for me to play that thing. So I'm thinking of buying like a thin line Acoustic. If anybody has any suggestions for a really good thin line Acoustic with a built-in pickup, put it in the comments section. I'd be eternally grateful. That's something I'm kind of thinking about. But I mean, quite frankly, the HX Stomp with my acoustic guitar IR file that I made does a pretty good job of sounding like an acoustic guitar, honestly. And if you go to budgetguitarist.com, there's a free section right on the homepage, and you can get my acoustic guitar IR patch and file, and you can get the IR file I made of my Celestion Vintage 30 also. So that's just a plug for the website. This video sponsored by the website, budgetguitarist.com. So anyway, other than that, like I've just been doing a lot of practicing. One of the things that I've been doing is trying to run through sets start to finish, including like the on-stage banter stuff, just to try to figure out how many songs I need. And in general, so far, it's averaging out to be about 11 songs plus banter equals about 45 minutes. But I'm still in the process of like fine-tuning that. So got a gig on Super Bowl Sunday. I'll try to shoot some footage of that for the channel, and then I'll make a video out of that. This video is going to come out the Friday, 2 days before that gig. So yeah, the next week will probably be a discussion of the gig or some footage from it or whatever. Honestly, I have to say, The videos on this channel that do the best are like guitar repair and anything having to do with HX Stump. There's a small group of people that are interested in like solo performing, which is lately what I've been making videos about. But this channel is really like a video diary for me. I don't really feel like I need to set up a guitar every week to like maintain a following, so to speak. You know, and if I make a video and 1 or 2 people out there are like, man, that was really useful, and only 100 people watch it, that's still cool. I'm happy to help. I'm here to give back. And also because I'm a ridiculously big ham. And yeah, that's pretty much the case. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I got this gig on Sunday. Hopefully I shoot footage, and then I will see you with that footage again next Friday at 5.